I'm greenlycan and welcome to my review. So I've spent the last week on and off playing Lord of the Rings Gollum. I wanted to play through the entire game to give a better impression of essentially what I thought of the game. And there's good and bad. Obviously, the same with any kind of game that comes out these days. There's the good things, there's the bugs and glitches. So first of all, Lord of the Rings Gollum, the story is a good story. It just lacks in gameplay elements, I think. The majority of the game is running around, collecting things and jumping and following people. Pretty much every gameplay mechanic that you don't like in other games like Assassin's Creed, where you have to follow someone or collecting certain things and going back and forward between places, it's just made up of those mechanics, and unfortunately it makes it really difficult for me to actually recommend the game to anyone. Personally, I like the story. It explains little bits in between about Gollum and Smeagol and what happened and how he got to that point. It does lead up to the beginning of the Lord of the Rings, and it is after The Hobbit. So for anyone that's read the books or watched the films, it's after The Hobbit, before The Lord of the Rings. And it's a good story. It explains things very well, but the gameplay is just trash, I suppose. When it comes down to the running and jumping, the jumping is completely off. Several times I found myself jumping onto walls to climb up walls and kind of mounting onto the wall angled, at like a weird angle from the wall, so I couldn't climb it. There's a wall running mechanic which doesn't always work and you just fall to your death. And there's another one where you sprint towards a wall and run up a wall, but there's a specific part of the game where you're in an elven village. You're running from people. No spoilers here, I'm trying to be clear of spoilers. So you're running from people, and there's a part where you have to run up a wall, and it didn't work. 5 out of 7 times I tried it, the wall running mechanic didn't work, and I got caught. And it kind of broke the game because of it. You'd expect it to be better supported, you'd expect things to be fixed more. With all of the marketing they put behind this game, you'd think they would have had a polished, solid game. And unfortunately, they just didn't. Jumping from tree branch to tree branch on the game, especially in situations where there's no ledge to grab onto, you would just find yourself jumping over the branch and falling to your death, or you'll just completely miss it. You'd either go too far or too little. There's not as much control for the jumping as there should be. With a game that's got a lot of platforming in it, you would expect them to have a lot more control over jumping mechanics, because it kind of broke the game because of that. Several times it felt epic jumping from branch to branch, then you just kind of miss one. And falling short of a branch, if there's no grab ledge on the branch, you won't grab it, you'll just slide past it and fall. So that wasn't really great. It kind of ruined the experience for me. The game felt like there was a lot of padding between certain parts of levels. There were things you had to do that just felt like padding to make the game longer. There were sections where you would finish something in an area, and instead of traveling to the next area, like one section to do with having to swim underwater, for example, without spoilers again, you have the ability to breathe underwater, but instead of allowing you to breathe underwater and swim the entire section, it tells you can breathe underwater and you have to swim there, and that's a long way. Then it just kind of cuts to you coming out of the water on the other side and then saying, don't stay underwater for too long because the spell's effects are probably worn off by now. And you don't do the entire thing. It leads up to this idea of I've got to swim through these caves and things like that to get to where I need to get, and then it puts you on the other side and just you don't do it. So it's like they added padding into things that they didn't need to, and the parts of the game that should have existed they left out, which was kind of weird. It didn't make any sense to me. I think overall I can't recommend the game. If you like games with different features, mechanics, new things and stuff, there are a couple of new things in this that are not really in other games, but it's not really worth it, in my opinion. If you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings, like I am, then it's worth a play. For the story and everything, it's worth a play. It's it's not being covered in the movies and stuff, and it's kind of covered in the books, so you would know it already, but to be able to play through those situations was really fun. It's just the gameplay itself just kind of ruined it. And I think I would have preferred to have just watched a short animated film of that story rather than play it, because it felt like a waste of time. I put a good 7-8 hours into it trying to go around collecting things for no reason. There's collectibles that seem to be a waste of time. Like, there doesn't seem to be a reason for getting them, which is kind of strange. It seems at the start when you find stuff, it seems like, oh, you might be able to use it, but then you don't, and it's just a collectible on a sheet on a separate screen on the menu. I don't know why it's there. The other thing is the developers decided to release a DLC of the emote pack that allows you to press a button and do, I think, 6 different emotes. One of them is the classic My Precious, but the other ones are just to do with a beetle, and it's kind of weird. And you can't select the one you want. You just press the button and it will just cycle through them. I don't know why they released that as like a DLC add-on thing. It's kind of like, it's a money grab, to be fair. I mean, Daedalic have made good games in the past, and I don't know what the hell was in their brains when they decided to finalize this game and release it. It feels like there's a missed opportunity to put a lot more things in this game to make it a lot more interesting, and part of me kind of expects them to do something stupid like releasing a DLC with extra mission stuff to add more features and things, because it feels like that's what they need to do. But I personally wouldn't buy that anyway, because it just feels like a waste of time. I would say that if you're going to get the game, get it on sale, don't pay full price. It's just a waste. I cannot recommend the game. Like I said, if you like Lord of the Rings, give it a go. You like the story, but don't expect groundbreaking gameplay or anything fun, to be fair. Kind of felt like playing through each section of the game to get to the next story element was the reason I was playing it, and not because I enjoyed the game. Once I completed the game, I immediately uninstalled it, and that was just it. You know, it's kind of a waste of several hours of my life, but I learned some story stuff and played through it, and that was the only thing that was worthwhile. So I definitely don't recommend it. I wouldn't spend your money on it if it's full price. But I want to know what you think. So get down in the comments, give me your opinion on what you think of the game. If you've seen the trailers and stuff, don't take those trailers as factual, or, you know, don't take them as if the game's a good game. The trailers just kind of misinterpret what the game's actually like. They leave out the fact it's just boring, basically. But give me your opinion. You know, tell me what you think. Get down in the comments. Give me your opinion on the game. Tell me what you think of the game. Tell me if you're going to play the game. Tell me if I've helped you out with making a decision on whether you want to waste your money or not. Or whether you think it's not a waste of money. People's opinions are different. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.